Hello, my friends. Welcome back. I'm Sharon, and this is my beautiful sister, Erica, and we are Healing Starts with the Heart. We coach women that are grieving from a loss of any kind, a loss due to death, divorce, breakup of a romantic relationship. We help you on the journey and your path to recovery. Welcome to the show.
Hi, friends. I'm laughing because we were just making sure we had no sound in the background, and then the dog just started barking. Well, welcome back to another great show. Yeah, we really do help all types of loss, and there's so many out there that we have encountered since we've been in this business, and it's so sad that it takes people so long to find us because when they go through their experience, they don't consider it to be a grieving experience. They think it's just something they have to either wait out or self-medicate or whatever. So I'm glad we're doing this show for our sisters out there who will listen to this and say, something's not right. I need help.
Yeah,
And I gotta do this.
yeah. I got to figure this out. Something's not right, for sure. This is a part two to a show that you and I recorded earlier on when to get rid of the digital devices,
Accounts or
digital
devices,
accounts,
yeah.
digital devices, digital accounts. And you said it zigged instead of zagged. We went all over in that one, which I actually love because it was some really great information for that. But where we want to go today is dealing with the red tape. Dealing
Yeah.
with the red tape of getting rid of, I don't want to say getting rid of,
Mm-hmm.
closing accounts that need to be closed because you and your family have made the decision that this phone device, this checking account, this life insurance, this apartment needs to be closed down, returning the keys. There's a ton of work to be done. Getting to the funeral is the first part. Once
Yeah.
the funeral is over, there's still a lot of work to be done in most cases, right?
And that is why I feel somewhat angry about the minimization of the grieving process for people, because the world absolutely keeps turning and everyone goes back to their life as it was. But the griever who now is, trying to figure out, is in survival mode, trying to figure out how to get through the funeral planning, and then has to get to the business of doing all this other stuff, all while every single minute of every single day, they're thinking, how did this happen?
Yeah.
What happened? Is
Yeah.
this real? You're in this kind of fog, and you have to navigate this. So
Yeah.
for corporations, if anybody out there in corporate America is listening to this, 3 days is not enough bereavement time. Let me
No.
just tell you that right now, first and foremost. You need to change those policies.
Yep.
But that's a whole nother show. But you have to then get to business, right? You have to take
Right.
care of the business. So this is my personal experience with this red tape, and why I think that this was so important to put out there in the world, especially, again, I'm speaking to you, corporate America. Y'all got some changes to make.
Yeah.
You have to put some things into place for families who have suffered a loss so that they are well taken care of. Donovan died 2 weeks shy of his 21st birthday. He had a full-time job. He was a motorcycle salesman at Texoma Harley. He was actually the #1 in-store salesman, if I might brag on my child for a moment. So he had his own paycheck. He was getting direct deposited into his own bank account. He did not have Lewis or myself on as the beneficiary for the bank account. And what we did, he had his own apartment. He had a roommate, but he had lived in his own apartment. So he had his own bills. He had his own cell phone. He had his own world. He was a young adult.
He had his own life.
He had his own life. And that's what you want. It was the goal. You want to
Yeah.
get your kids to be self-sufficient. And he was, and we were proud. But when tragedy struck, and we didn't want to wait, because how rampant fraud is in our world today, We didn't want to wait and leave these accounts out there lingering and open. So we took to the business right away. And Lewis, is he's got to do the business. I
Yeah.
mean, and he was dragging me along, literally almost, because I was in my head of, how did this happen? Is this real? Oh my God, I'm so sad. And so he is getting me and guiding me from place to place. And then so you walk into the cell phone business and you say, my son passed away, and we need to close his cell phone account. Well, are you on the account? No. Well, first, no. Before you get that question, you get a very robotic,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for, very disingenuous, I'm so sorry for your loss. It's so almost offensive how insincere that is, and how I didn't feel comforted. I didn't feel, and so you just get aggravated because you're like, thank you, because they don't mean it, they don't give a crap, but that's part of their company policy. I'm sure that they have to say it. Then you get the question, are you on the account? No, I'm not on the account. I'm his mom. He lived on his own. And then you hit the red tape. So for his cell phone, thankfully, we didn't have that much of an issue, because we wanted to leave his phone open, but because we were going to give it to Jordan. So in that instance, it was nice that we didn't have that. But had I wanted to close it, that would have been a whole nother deal. For his bank account, this is specifically where I am very passionate about this. And when I think about it, it makes me super, super angry. So I'm not going to trash the establishment, because Lewis still banks with them. But I called them up and I said, this situation happened. My son died tragically. He has a bank account. We want to close it. The child had $1,900 in the bank. He was rich by no means. We were not getting rich by any means by closing this account. But again, we were out of protection for fraud. We wanted to close it. Well, do you have paperwork? Well, what paperwork? Well, you need to file through courts an affidavit of heirship, which means he had no legal heirs. He didn't have a wife. He didn't have a child anywhere. He had just Lewis and I. It cost us $700 to file that paperwork. Again, I'm saying the boy only had $1,900 in the bank. It cost us $700 to file that paperwork. We did it. Take it back to the bank. Here's the paperwork. Well, no, now we need this. No, now we need this. And when I tell you red tape, it took me 2 years to close that account. I'm not joking. 2 years. And every time I would follow up, I was shuttled to another department. And then I would get, Miss Sherry, I tell her my story. We gave the paperwork. And then I would get from Miss Sherry, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. And then more delays, more rigmarole. They want this, they want that. Finally got to the point at nearly the end of those 2 years where I got one point person. They said, we've seen that you've been shuffled through all these other people. We're going to give you this one person. And I cannot remember this woman's name, because it closed about 3 years ago. I finally got it done. And she and I went to battle every single day, because she would say, well, no, I need this. And I said, well, where's the policy that says that? Can I have a copy of that? Oh, no, I can't give you that. That's our internal documents. I said, ma'am, what state are you in? And so she told me her state. I said, well, I live in Texas. How can that be the policy for Texas if you live in this state and you won't give me proof? I mean, that's a long story, but Sharon, for a griever to have to do this, it's unfair.
Yeah.
And it's disrespectful.
Yeah.
And I'm telling corporate America, you have to do better.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to shorten the process.
Yes.
You have to you have to have a loss and grieving department. You have to have someone who's trained in how to deal with grievers, how to know how to deal with grievers, how to talk grief, how to talk to a griever, and continually sending them back over and over again to find more paperwork is unfathomable. It makes you so mad. I mean, that wasn't the word I wanted to say, but it is jacked up.
It's like cruel and unusual punishment, because you're like, okay, I'm doing the steps as best I can, because I had so much going on emotionally, as we've talked about in other shows. I was struggling through this grieving process because I was refusing to do it, which is part of the problem. But to get shut down, and so then with my personality, I find myself being a sort of justice warrior. And
Right.
so when I feel like something is unjust, then I make it a mission, and that became my cause. And I was like, I am not going to settle until his account is closed. And then you kind of go into that mode, but there's people who don't go into that mode. There's people who just leave it and let it sit then. So
Yeah.
then 2 years turns into 3 years, turns into 5 years.
Yeah.
And then I don't even know what happens after that time, if there's a policy for that.
Yeah. The amount of paperwork that a person has to go through and the amount of accounts that you have to go through when an adult dies is unbelievable. Our father died 1 year before Donovan, and I'm still dealing with paperwork today. Thankfully, our dad had most of his stuff in order, but we just went through 2 years of traveling some stocks and investments that he had that just, our dad's been gone 6 years, that just, I just completed and closed. So, and that was my brother working on it for 1 full year until he called out. He's like, this is you now. And he literally brought me a trash bag full of paperwork and documentation, and I picked it up from there and carried it for another year and a half. So, yes.
It's not, it is not right. Corporations need to do better. They absolutely need to have someone that speaks grief. That can really be, instead of a barrier to finishing the business, be an ally. Be an ally and a person there to hold the griever's hand and to talk very gently with them and to give them, because we've talked about griever's brain quite a bit, and it is a real thing. To give them a little checklist, okay, Sharon, here's the 3 things I need. I'm going to touch base with you again in 3 weeks, whatever time frame. And see how far you've gotten on this. If you run into any trouble, you just call me. Because what happens is she gives you the paper with the 3 things, and what do? You misplace it because you have no idea.
Right. You forget. You don't get the 3 things. You call her back.
Absolutely don't.
And in their defense, the red taper's defense, they need to make sure they're not giving the money out to the wrong person. I get that.
Of course.
But why can't the system be 1, universal, and 2, expedited in such a way, that it can help everyone involved, including themselves? They've now got this account just sitting open.
Right.
That's just gone endlessly, just sitting there. Their numbers aren't balancing either.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like there needs to be easier ways to expedite. I am who I say I am. I am the mom. We went to court. We filed the paperwork. I mean, that should have been sufficient. I don't know why there was over $1,900. If it was $19 million, I could understand the double checking, the triple checking, the hold on, let's talk about this some more. I can understand that. $1,900, no. I filed the court papers that needed to be resolved. But for spouses that are left behind and trying to close out, they also get a lot of red tape and run into a lot of dead ends, even when they have the necessary stuff. I remember one of our clients, by the time she got to our appointment, she was so flustered because she had been trying to change accounts out of her husband's name, keep them the same, close nothing, but just change them out of her husband's name into her name. And she was given the runaround.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Now, the one thing that can happen also, and that you need to be aware of when you're closing these accounts, is that you can make it your mission and your cause. And here's the part that what we need to explain. While they're running you through the red tape, they're taking you out of the moment. They're taking your heart out of the moment. They are denying you the process that you need to grieve properly. They are denying you what you need to go through the steps. So now they've taken you out of the moment. Now, we've talked about fake it until you make it. You also now become on a mission to no matter what, you are going to get this account closed and it can become your full-time job.
Oh,
right?
it was my cause. It was my
Yeah.
cause. I wasn't going to stop until I had it done. One of the things, because griever's brain is so real and it's so incapacitating some days. If I can make a suggestion for our sisters out there, make a list. Make a list of the things you want to accomplish that day. So I'm going to call the bank today. I'm going to go to the gas company today. I'm going to, and this is all pre-COVID. I don't even know if you can get in these places today, so I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just going to say you're going to call the gas company today, or I'm going to go online and see if I can access the gas company account today. To keep it short, keep your list short. Don't try to get sucked into the keep busy frame of mind and dive into all these tasks way too soon and have an endless to-do list. Keep it short to your top 3 for the day, even if you don't get the 3, because that's okay. It's okay to not get the 3, but you have a starting point and an ending point. And if you get the 3 and you keep notes on your progress with each thing, because best believe when I'm on the phone and I was saying, I write down, okay, I spoke to Sharon, I write the name down, okay, I'm going to know what we talked about. I had no idea. When I would go to follow up, I was like, okay, I talked to Sharon and I wrote the date. What the heck did we talk about? Because you forget, you really do. Griever's brain is real, and you will lose your traction and momentum in fighting against the red tape if you don't keep detailed notes. So be detailed. And we talked about having access to the account on such and such. Then you know where your next starting point is.
Absolutely. So also, we wrote an amazing blog with tips of accounts that you need to think about closing. This, of course, doesn't take place for a 10-year-old like Austin, but for Donovan or for my dad, some of the things you need to think about. So in the notes, in the show notes for today, Erica's going to put the attachment to the blog of these tips. So you can just look over the list and make sure you've gotten everything and handled everything. But you want to think about forwarding the mail. Prescriptions that are on automatic refill, you need to cancel those, right? Cell phones, going to the bank. We talked about utilities. What about memberships to the gym? You don't want to make sure on the $1,900, if he had had a membership coming out of there, that membership would have continued and eaten up that $1,900.
Yeah.
Newspapers and magazines, right? Any online accounts. And in the show notes in the blog, I write a very in-depth list of other accounts that you need to consider before closing, as Amazon, PayPal, eBay, your Gmail, your Hotmail, your AOL account, any of those things. Is AOL even still around? But you might want to check it. So Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. So we give you a full list of those just for you to consider how to go about closing them and how to gather all of that information that you may need to close them. Sisters, we are with you. We hear you. We know this is going to be tough. Even the thought of approaching that to close those accounts, calling the doctors and letting them know, having to change your emergency contact is painful. We know that. We're here for you and we're here with you.
And I want to say, instead of putting the link to this specific blog, I'm going to put the link for our website because we have so many other helpful blogs. This will just be one of many because this is going to be one piece that you're going to need, and you're going to also need so much more information to get through this process.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day, and know that we are here for you if you need us.